Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. I appreciate you being with me so very, very much. We are continuing our study of the resurrection of 1 Corinthians chapter 15. We've been demonstrating that the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 would be in fulfillment of God's Old Covenant promises made to Old Covenant Israel. Now, it's very, very important for you to be sure that you watch the previous video, because in that video I shared with you that the resurrection promise of 1 Corinthians 15 did not belong exclusively to Israel. Pardon me. It was the promise of resurrection made to Adam and Eve. It was the resurrection promise made to Abraham. There is a continuity of resurrection promise running from Adam all the way to Christ through Torah, inclusive of Torah. What I've been trying to impress on you, and I understand it's difficult sometimes for us, I guarantee it is for me at times, to think Hebraically, to think like the ancient Hebrews did. But you see, that's our challenge. The ancient Hebrews did not think exactly like you and I do. They had a great tendency. And by the way, world-class scholarship recognizes this. The ancient Hebrews thought corporately. Did that deny the reality of individuals? Did that negate individual responsibility? No, not by a long stretch. But when Paul talked about resurrection, and when he talked about resurrection of the body, we have to understand that he is so very, very, very often thinking in corporate terms. Now, let me illustrate this concept of corporate thought, corporate identity that lies behind the prophecies that Paul is drawing from. Okay? Now, I want to give you an example that goes all the way back to very, very, very early in Israel's history. Joshua is leading the children of Israel into the land of promise. In Joshua chapter 6, they've captured Jericho, a great, fantastic victory. Next city on the list is Ai. But I want you to notice what Joshua chapter 7 verse 1 says. The children of Israel committed a trespass regarding the accursed things, for Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took of the accursed things, so the anger of the Lord burned against the children of Israel. Now wait a minute. One man took some items that were under Korban, the curse. One man. And yet it says, the children of Israel sinned. Children is plural. But there's only one man. Well, that doesn't make sense, at least not to us. In our Western Grecian way of thinking. But this is Hebraic thought. Notice how this is emphasized. The children of Israel committed a trespass. The anger of the Lord burned against the children of Israel. Here's how we know that. Now watch. One man sinned. Well, Joshua sends out the spies, and the spies come back, and they say, well, Ai is not a very big city. Just send 2,000 or 3,000 guys up there. They'll dispatch the city, no problem at all. Well, 3,000 men up there, they got their tails whipped. And Joshua was absolutely, totally perplexed and says, what in the world has happened? The Lord responded, Israel has sinned. They have transgressed my covenant. Lord, this is one guy. Why are you holding the whole nation guilty? Why are you punishing the whole nation? Because there was a corporate identity at stake. there was a common bond between one man and the nation and one man. Now, I would like to develop that even more, but just read Joshua chapter 7. Now, let's go to a passage that is directly related, pardon me, to the resurrection. It is from the context that Paul quotes from in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. That's the context of Isaiah. In Isaiah chapter 24, the Lord describes the destruction that was coming. The earth is broken down. The Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, distorts its surface, scatters abroad its inhabitants. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master. Now watch this. Verse 5. The earth is also defiled under its inhabitants. Probably better translated here, land. Don't have time to develop that. Because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Wait a minute. Does that mean that every single Israelite had sinned? Well, not if we look seriously at Joshua chapter 7. Does that mean a lot of individuals had sinned? Yes, it does. You see, the corporate doesn't negate the individual. The individuals comprise the corporate. Those of us who believe in covenant eschatology have never denied this. We've never inferred anything different from this. Individuals comprise the corporate. And the Hebraic thought is corporate. The individuals participate in the corporate blessings, or guess what? The corporate condemnation. There were sufficient numbers in Isaiah chapter 25 who had sinned, but remember Joshua chapter 7. I mean, look, this is serious stuff. Isaiah hadn't sinned here in the book of Isaiah. It's not talking about every single one. But here they have transgressed the covenant, and death and the curse passed on everyone because of that corporate identity, that corporate bond. And yet God promised to do what? I will destroy on this mountain the veil that is there. I will destroy death. That's 1 Corinthians 15. So here we have, they have transgressed the covenant. Corporate guilt. Corporate bond. I will destroy death. That is a promise to the corporate body. Hosea chapter 13. That other passage that Paul quotes in 1 Corinthians 15, 55 and 56 for the resurrection. When Ephraim humbled himself, he was exalted. Was that Ephraim a single person? No. Hosea was considering the nation under the singular name, corporate identity. But when Israel sinned, he died. Was he talking about Jacob there? No, he wasn't. He wasn't talking about a single individual. He was talking about the corporate body. That corporate body died as a result of the manifold sins of individual after individual after individual. But it's still Israel, the corporate body. Now look, I've made the following argument on many, many Facebook pages. This argument needs to be answered. The resurrection of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 would be in fulfillment of the resurrection promise in Hosea 13:14. The resurrection promise of Hosea chapter 13:14 is the resurrection of the corporate body of Israel, because it was the corporate body of Israel that sinned and that died. Hosea 13:1 and 2. Therefore, the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 would be of the corporate body. Now remember, Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 is also including all the way back to Adam, because God had concluded all, that's a corporate body, under sin. To solve the problem of death for Israel was to solve the problem of death for all who were in Adam. Because death reigned from Adam to Moses and was subsumed under and incorporated, magnified by the law of Moses. Now, obviously, I don't have a whole lot of time to go more into detail here. But everywhere, pardon me, everywhere we look in Hebraic thought, there is this motif of corporate identity, corporate guilt, corporate blessing. For by one Spirit were we all baptized into one body. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 13. Just like Israel was baptized into Moses, all were being baptized into Christ. Corporate. Individuals being baptized, comprising the corporate baptized into Christ. You see, folks, if we ignore the prophetic background, if we ignore the Hebraic thought, we will completely distort 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Well, in our next video, we're going to drive the point home that the resurrection of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 would be at the end of Old Covenant Israel's covenant history. Not at the end of time, not at the end of the Christian age. We will see you on the flip side.